Alright, we're going to be giving this whole Booktube Newbie challenge hashtag thing a go. So, if you've been around for a while, if you haven't been around for a while, but you go look at my archive, obviously I've had this channel for a while now. I started it early last year. I made a lot of videos early last year, then I took a big break through a lot of last year, and then I did come back towards the end of the year and started being pretty consistent with my videos. Throughout a lot of that time, I was mostly just making general lifestyle content, mostly vlogs, a few like mental health things, talking about my still potential because I haven't gotten there yet, but potential ADHD diagnosis and a few of those sorts of things. But since late last year, start of this year, I've started getting more into the booktube space, and I have been making booktube videos for the last couple of months. So, not necessarily a newbie, particularly to YouTube and also to booktube, but I thought this would be a good way to sort of introduce myself to the booktube space specifically. I've been meaning to make this video for a while now, but I've been really caught up in doing my TBR videos and my book wrap-up videos and all of those sorts of things, and I had my 30-day challenge at the start of the year, so it's taken me a little bit of time to get here, but we are finally getting in and doing the Booktube Newbie Challenge. So, welcome. If you're new here, I haven't even done an intro on one of my videos in the past few videos, so nobody knows who I am. But hi, if you're new here, my name is Kate. I am 30 years old, living in Brisbane, Australia, and I make a lot of now booktube content and also still some general lifestyle, various other sorts of things still going on in the background every now and then. That's about it. I have a new mic today, as you may be able to tell. I have bought myself a couple of lapel mics. These do not sit very well on the top of this dress, so I am just holding it. But hopefully my sound now sounds much better because I had a lot of background noises previously and I'm not very good at editing those out. So instead, we've got some microphones and hopefully that fixes a lot of my sound issues. Enough rambling, let's get into the actual Booktube Newbie Challenge questions. So, number one, why did you start this channel? So, as I mentioned, I originally started this as more of a lifestyle channel. I needed a bit of a creative outlet, was part of it. As I've mentioned, think that I have ADHD, pretty confident that I have ADHD. So having sort of a little side passion project was something that I really wanted to do. I wanted to have. It's also economy. I need more money. Don't we all in this day and age? So I would love to be able to monetize side hustle of some variety. The reason I chose YouTube is that because of my ADHD, my hyperfocus often shifts. So we're currently on books. But I really do want to base this channel around me and my personality more so than the actual booktube side of things, just in case I get bored of books again, because that's happened before. I wouldn't necessarily say I got bored of books, I just kind of got out of the habit of reading books and got stuck on a couple of books which were good books. I was just very burnt out and in a very big slump for like 10 years. But I've really gotten back into reading recently. And so that's sort of why I've now transformed into more of a booktube channel. One of the lifestyle vloggers that I was watching really started focusing more on her booktube side of things. Part of that resulted in me getting back into reading. I was already trying to get back into reading myself, but having that sort of influence from the creators that I was watching, really getting into it made me really get into reading, and the more I got into reading, the more it compounded on itself, and now I am fully back into reading, reading around 6 books a month at the moment, which is probably still pretty low for a lot of booktubers and readers in general, but for me that is quite a lot of books. If I could read more, that's great, because there's so many books that I want to read now that I've gotten into this space and have been just getting recommendations endlessly from all sorts of booktube and booktalk and bookstagram people and posts and everything. So I have a lot I want to read, and I am looking forward to sharing that with you guys. That was a really long answer to why did I start this channel, but the main two reasons are to have a little bit of side project and to hopefully make some money one day. And because I want to get free stuff, if anyone wants to send me free stuff, please do. One more, just because I didn't have enough reasons in there. One more is that because of my ADHD, I don't particularly like having a structured job. So if I can have a job where I am working for myself, I can do my own thing, work on my own schedule, that would be ideal. But I can't commit to anything for more than like a year. So if I open a business that's specifically about something, I'm probably going to get bored of it within a year and it's just going to constantly fail over and over again. So I went with YouTube, where you can come here for my personality instead. Okay, question number 2. What are some fun and unique things you can bring to Booktube? Hopefully my personality, once again. I also like to think I'm pretty open about my mental health and everything. I have anxiety, depression, probably ADHD, possibly ASD. There's a bunch of things going on here, and I like to be pretty open about that with the YouTube space. I also think I have a bit of a different taste in books to a lot of what I see on Booktube. I'm not really much of a romance person. Like, I enjoy a young adult romantasy, but it's probably not my ultimate genre. I did just give Fourth Wing 5 stars, and that's the only like new book I've given 5 stars in the past 2 years. But despite that, and it's not technically young adult, but you know, you get the picture. It's not my normal sort of reading aspect. I have been drawn into it a lot over the past few months, particularly with all of these influences that I'm seeing promoting all these things. I am quite easily influenced, so I'm definitely wanting to read a lot of those books. They're not necessarily going to be my favorite, so if anyone has any like real high fantasy sort of recommendations for me, hit me up. Love to hear them. I don't know. That's a difficult one. I'm still working on what my point of difference is for Booktube. Maybe I'll figure something out. Maybe I'll just be like everyone else and there'll be nothing new, and I'll just have this as a little creative outlet that maybe makes me a few dollars here and there. Like I said, I like to be open and honest, and you know what? I'm still figuring it out. Number 3. What are you most excited about for this channel? Reading a lot of books. And honestly, again, going back to the points around money and jobs, if I could make this anything, not even necessarily full-time, but part-time, something where I can take my full-time job down to a part-time job and work on this on my days off and still be earning similar amount of money would be fantastic. And then having that time off to be able to focus on this stuff, obviously, to begin with, but then also time to sit down and read as part of my job. Being able to read as part of my job would be amazing. That would be fantastic. And just being able to get paid to just live my life. That sounds great to me. But obviously also just being able to share with you guys my favorite books, my recommendations, my reviews of all of these sorts of things, and having that creative outlet to be able to produce, edit, all of the stages of creating a video. I've been having so much fun making thumbnails lately. It's also, there's a big learning experience. I really love to learn, and there's so many things that I still need to learn, that I am still learning about the video creation process, YouTube in general, social media in general, and how the social media space works. There's a lot of fun and exciting things about having a YouTube channel, and that I'm looking forward to as part of this YouTube journey. Why do you love reading? Question number 4. I mean, it's pretty obvious. You get to escape to a different world as somebody who has anxiety and depression and doesn't enjoy having a corporate job but has to live that life because there aren't really many other options. It's just a way to escape, live a different life, visit different worlds, be someone else for a little bit, someone who's more confident and impressive, I guess. Also, like, fantasy, medieval worlds, just so much fun. Fighting, dragons, magic, all of that sort of stuff, very cool. That's about it. Just escape into a different world, getting to experience someone else's life that has been written the way a story is written. It has a beginning, a middle, and an end. There's a climax. It usually ends happily. It's all scripted out the way you anticipate a story to go. Moderately predictable a lot of the time, which is kind of a good thing in some ways. And yeah, just very different to real life where you just get up every morning and go to your job and come home. It skips out all of those days, you know? Like if there was a book about my life, it wouldn't be showing today where I got up and got dressed and made my bed because we have an inspection today. Don't worry, I don't normally make my bed, but we have an inspection today. It would skip over those days. No one cares about those days. But those are the days that in our real life we have to live. But in our story life, we don't have to worry about those days. That's most of why I like to read. Number 5, what book or series got you into reading? I have been reading for a very long time. I started reading when I was a child. I've always been a big reader. So I probably can't tell you exactly what series got me into reading. I do have a couple of series around the house that may be relevant to this question. So some of the top books that I remember reading, mostly they're all series. The top series that I remember reading as a child, Emily Rodda. I was big on some of the Emily Rodda series. So Deltora Quest was a very big one for me, and Rowan of Rin is a big one for me, and also my family. My entire family loves Rowan of Rin. There's a Rowan of Rin quote on my dad's grave, like, we're big Rowan of Rin people. And the entire Rowan of Rin series. It's been a few years since I reread it now, but I still absolutely loved it even as an adult. I also just reread Deltora Quest within the last year. We bought the Deltora Quest Omnibus like last year, and I reread that, and it is still a fantastic book. It's not amazing. I didn't give it 5 stars, and I gave it 4 stars, and most of that was probably to do with nostalgia more so than actual quality, because it is a very, like, it's a young reader's, it's a child to middle school possibly read a book. So, you know, it's on the young side, but still very, very good series, very solid. Would recommend to any people with children wanting to start on chapter books. The other one that comes to mind is Artemis Fowl, which is another one that I've just bought the box set of within the last couple of months. And yeah, I really loved those books as a kid. I'm really looking forward to rereading them. I haven't actually started my reread of those yet. Simon, my partner, has started reading through the series himself, and I kind of want to wait for him to finish before I start reading. Don't think it'll be a problem. I just think it'll be easier for me to wait until he's finished before I start reading it. That's probably most of the books that really got me into reading, particularly as a younger child. What's gotten me back into reading recently, I guess, would also be useful. What got me back into reading? Honestly, it's been a big mix of things. If you want to go back and watch my 2023 reading recap, that may tell you a bit more about what got me back into reading in the last year. But I reread some of my old favourite books. Actually, probably the Finnegan of the Rock series. The Lumitere Chronicles was one of the big ones recently that I just really absolutely loved doing a reread of, and really sparked my joy back into reading. Yes, I did also just read The Life-Changing Magic of Tidying Up, but I did not like that one. But The Lumitere Chronicles, absolutely love that series. That is by Melina Marchetta, who is an Australian author, so a lot of people probably don't know the series, but it's a fantastic fantasy series. I would definitely recommend to anyone that likes fantasy, anyone that's interested in fantasy. Just, I highly recommend it. It was a great series. I loved it back when I read it in like high school, and I absolutely loved it again now. I had to go to a lot of trouble to buy the books because they're not really in print anymore. I think I ended up getting them off Booktopia, who actually printed a couple of the books for me to send out when I bought them, but it was definitely worth it. They weren't particularly expensive to get printed either. Anyway, I'm spending a lot of time rambling about all these questions, and we're not getting very far. Now, we're moving on. Question 6. What questions would you ask your favourite booktubers? It'd probably mostly be like business and technical sort of questions. Things around like how they got started. A lot of them have probably been going for quite a few years, and so it's a completely different environment to be joining YouTube and Booktube now rather than it was 5-10 years ago. But yeah, I think a lot of it would just be around how they got started, how they do well, how they come up with their ideas, if they have agents and stuff that they use, how they get their deals, how they edit their videos, what sort of editing software they use, if they do their editing themselves, if they send it out, that sort of stuff. I'd also really love to know how they get their arcs and other free things. I don't know if I mentioned it earlier, but I like free stuff. I don't know if they have to go to publishers and say, hey, I'm interested in ARCs, send me things, or hey, I'm interested in this specifically. Because I see things where I can sign up to get copies of ARCs, but these people seem to just get sent them for no reason. And I would love for that to happen to me. If someone could send me a free book, I will feel like I have won the YouTube game. So yeah, that's about all that I would ask my favorite booktubers. So on to question number 7. What challenges do you think starting a YouTube channel will be the hardest to overcome? It's such a weirdly worded question. When I read that this morning, I thought I must have written it down wrong, but no, that is the exact wording from the website that I found these questions on, which, to be fair, was just a wiki page, so whether or not this is accurate, who knows, but it's what we're going with. So obviously I've been doing my YouTube channel for a while now, so not necessarily challenges to starting, but challenges that I have been experiencing. Obviously trying to balance a full-time job and also this, and I am also still doing a Cert 4 study at the moment, so I'm busy. Very busy. So trying to balance all of that is quite difficult. Also trying to keep up with all of the cool kids and just have a limitless physical TBR. I don't have that many books on my physical TBR. Not entirely true because I have a whole stack of rereads in my cupboard, but as far as my new books physical TBR is concerned, I've only got 6 books on there at the moment. It's small. I don't have the money to go out and buy a whole ton of books and be buying books all the time, even though I have kind of started doing that. I've been spending a lot of money on books this year. So if anyone wants to send me free books, okay, I'm going to stop talking about the free books now, I promise. But yeah, trying to keep up with everyone, trying to see these books that people are talking about and decide whether or not I would actually like them and whether or not I actually want to spend my money on them. That's a bit of a challenge for me. I end up buying a lot of books, and I've read a lot of books in the last 6 months that I probably wouldn't have picked up and probably shouldn't have picked up. But I thought I would give them a go because everyone was raving about them, and yeah, I was moderately disappointed by some of them, but other ones I have not been disappointed by. So, it's a real toss up whether or not it's going to work. So I had to keep trying them just in case. I've lost my train of thought. Time and money are probably the main 2 things. Trying to fit in being able to read more books, and then also fitting in being able to record and edit videos and upload and all the other things that you have to do to go along with YouTube. My social media has definitely slacked off in the recent couple of months. I think that's the main challenges. Also just coming up with ideas. Like I said, a lot of the research into how to be successful on YouTube, they want you to create a lot of videos that are searchable content, really helpful tutorial type stuff. Trying to come up with content that is tutorial and searchable for Booktube has been a bit of a struggle for me. I know there's probably a lot of things out there, and there's a lot of just oh, I reviewed this popular book, here's what I thought of it sort of things, which could definitely be considered searchable. But yeah, there's not a whole lot out there that seems particularly searchable to me for Booktube ideas, but I'm working on it. We're still getting there, and you know what? I'm slowly building up the subscribers, and that's okay. Question 8. When did you start reading? As I mentioned earlier, I've been reading since I was a child. I was always a big reader. My mum was an English teacher back in the day, so she's always been big on books and reading. I definitely got into reading from an earlier age. I was a very big reader. I loved reading at home. I loved reading at school. I was one of those kids who was often at the library. The librarian would specifically let me know when new books came in and books that she thought I would like, because she knew my tastes. I did go to a small school, so it's not really that impressive, but the librarians at both my primary and high school both knew me quite well, and always gave me some good recommendations when new stuff came in. I've always been a big reader. I stopped reading. I never completely stopped reading, but I really haven't been reading that much for the past 10 years. And then, yeah, in the last 6 months, I've really gotten back into reading. I started reading mostly again around the time of my cruise, when I went on my cruise in October of last year. Took a few books with me for that, and not necessarily enjoyed those books specifically, but I enjoyed the act of reading and getting to experience these other worlds again. And then as the year went on, I just got more and more into reading. And by the time I got around to Christmas, I was reading a book a week, which is a lot for me from compared to the past 10 years. So yeah, that's when I started reading and when I started rereading. Question 9. Where do you read? Usually right here. This is my little reading chair in my little reading corner. I'll try to do some B-roll footage of this, hopefully. I have my stack of books to my left here. It's right next to the TV. Here, I've got my little lamp. This is a smart lamp. I can turn it on with my phone. I can change the brightness. I can change the warmth. I can change the warmth of the bulb. I can change the brightness of the bulb. So I usually have it on quite low. This is in my bedroom. So if Simon is going to bed before I am ready to go to bed, I have the light set up to be very low so that it doesn't impact him too much. He doesn't really care. He sleeps through anything. So it doesn't really make a difference to him, but I like to feel like I am being less intrusive and make it as low as possible. I also have the window to my right here, which is very nice to get a lot of natural light in here, which is lovely. And yeah, this is my usual little reading spot. I read here every morning when I get up, and I read here every night before I go to bed. I also read usually on the bus on the way to and from work. I will sometimes read at work, but it'll depend, like on my lunch break, not just while I'm working. Let's be clear. Sometimes read on my lunch break at work, but it depends on who else is around at lunchtime. If I want to sit with some of the other people that I work with, have a chat to anyone, then obviously I won't read. But if I sort of end up sitting by myself, I might grab out my book and read. I do sometimes read in bed. It's not as often because I sleep pretty badly, and all of the sleep help things saying to only use your bed for sleeping. So I try not to do that, but I do it sometimes, just depending on the situation, how I'm feeling. If my leg's hurting, I'll sometimes sit in the bed because that's just easier. And yeah, if Simon's doing things on the TV that I kind of want to watch, I'll lie in bed so I can look at the TV better. For various reasons that I may or may not be lying in bed, but most of the time I'll be sitting right here reading. What kind of books do you read? I'm mostly a fantasy reader. I've been getting slightly more into the romantasy genre lately, but I am more of a traditional high fantasy adult sort of reader. I did just read my first Brandon Sanderson, so can I really claim myself to be a fantasy reader without previously having read any Brandon Sanderson? Possibly not, but I've started now, so I can now. I have been influenced by the influencers lately to be more into romantasy and young adult sort of genres, but they're still never my favorites. Like, I enjoy them, they're really fun to read, but they're not my favorites. I haven't read a lot of sci-fi, but I'm a big sci-fi entertainment sort of person. I love sci-fi movies and TV series, so I really do think I should enjoy sci-fi books. I just haven't read that many. We're working on it. I'm going to read Jade City this month, so we'll see how that goes. There was something else I was about to say, and now it's gone. Similar with like mystery books. I never really read many mystery books, but I love watching murder mysteries. I have played so many Nancy Drew games. It's not even funny. I love murder mysteries. But I've just never really read a lot of murder mysteries, but I've been getting into some of those lately, and those have been really fun. Been enjoying that, so I am looking to read more mystery, murder mystery, thriller sort of things recently. I'm not big on contemporary romance, but I did read a historical romance that I quite liked, so I'll probably try some more historical romance. My romance needs to have something else going on. Like, it can't just be a modern contemporary romance with nothing else happening. Romantasy, sure. We've got the fantasy world, we've usually got fighting, bunch of stuff happening in the rest of the book, and then also a romance. Even the historical romance, you've got that history element, there's something else interesting going on, a different world to escape into. I just don't love contemporary in general, honestly. Anything that's set in modern day. The murder mysteries are alright. Murder mysteries and thrillers are alright set in modern day. Most other stuff, I'm not a big literary fiction person, and I'm not a big contemporary romance sort of person, so I'll give anything a go. But those are sort of my main genre is definitely fantasy, and then yeah, there's a few others around that I quite enjoy reading and am looking forward to trying more of. Question 11, which is apparently only sometimes done, which is what does your book collection look like? And I'm going to throw this forward to Kate of next week, because next week we're going to be doing a bookshelf tour. So if you would like to see my bookshelf tour, you can come back next week. Don't forget to subscribe so that you can find out when that video comes out. Yeah, I'm going to be doing a bookshelf tour. My bookshelves currently are very chaotic, and I'm planning on buying some new bookshelf situation to fix that in the coming months. But before I fix it, I want to show you what it looks like now, because I think that will be fun. It's a complete mess. You're going to love it. Unless you're someone who really likes aesthetic bookshelves, in which case this is probably not the channel for you. But if you're looking forward to seeing some chaotic bookshelves, stick around. I would really appreciate it. Subscribe if you enjoyed this video. Give it a like. This is the end. That was the last question. And I am now throwing it over to next week, Kate, for question 11. So I don't know how to end videos, apparently. This is the end of this video. This video is coming to an end. I appreciate anyone who watched, especially if you made it to this part and you're still sticking around for my rambling. I really appreciate it. Thank you so much. Don't forget to like the video and subscribe to my channel, and I will see you in the next video. Goodbye.